Hey everyone, my name's Asher. I'm at NEXA, and I'm here today with the one and only Rana.
Good morning.
And I don't know if you know this, she is more than just a member of the company. She's one of the most, if not the most important person here. She is an integral part. And before I let her talk, I want to share something that she might not even recall, but it really, it meant something to me. I had just come to the company, it's about 5.5 years ago. I'm a junior LO for a previous lender, coming over, minimal to no production on my own. And one of our vendors, they were like the first virtual processing company. It was supposed to be high tech and cool. Didn't quite work out as well. But they were hosting a happy hour. I was not even here 2 weeks, and it was only 5 minutes away. So I went, and the first person I walk in and see is Rana. I walk up to her and she goes, "Hey," and she introduces herself. She goes, "Hey, how long have you been at the company?" And, first she said, "Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. How long have you been a part of Next?" And I was like, "Oh, I just joined like a couple weeks ago." And she goes without hesitation and says, "Oh, are you Asher Benjamin?" And I go, "Yeah." And so just her knowing who I was, because who am I? I'm nobody at this stage and still not much now, but she took the time, and I didn't know who she was at the time, but now looking back, literally one of the top in command, to know my name before I even meet her, it spoke volumes, and it kind of set me on my path of being a lifer here. So Rana, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you, and yeah.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And it's either I call you Asher or I call you Benjamin because sometimes I'm like, I can't remember which one is your first name and which one is your last name. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm getting better at that, Asher. Um, Thanks. I appreciate that. I don't remember that happy hour, but we did quite a few of them back then. So, and I used to know
Yeah.
every LO's name until about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and then there got to be so many of them. It's just made it really hard. I try, but it's
Right.
hard.
And even at the time we had almost 200. So that's I was a high school teacher. I struggled to learn 30. So I commend you on that. So
Thank
if you
you.
don't mind, would you just kind of share a little bit, briefly about how you came to be at Nexa, and then, why you still here after all these years?
After all these years. So I started working for Mike 7.5 years ago, so before NEXA, and he hired me to do data entry. And then I worked for him a little bit, and as he learned more about me and I learned more about him, it was, "Hey, Rana, can you do this?" And I would take on a new task. So over the last 7.5 years, 7 years of NEXA as of Saturday. So 7.5 years, I helped open almost every one of our departments and then pulled, more people in to help with that. And so it's just been a crazy, crazy ride in the last 7.5 years, but I can't imagine being anywhere else. NEXA is, I bleed blue. So
Love it. And kind of like what you just said, I along with I bet most, if not all, consider you to be essentially the heart of the company. You got Mike, he's got all the ideas, he's got all the brawn, but at the heart, the beat of Nexa, I think I share the sentiment that that's you, 100% you. Um, so along with that, you know, what do you do to keep everything running so smoothly with someone like Mike kind of at the head? How do you guys work so well together?
we're very transparent with each other. Like we're very clear. There's never
Mhm.
any confusion with Mike. When he says, "Hey, I need this done," he's going to tell me exactly what he's looking for, right? For the most part. Now, but he knows that if I'm questioning it, then he's going to take a step and go, "Okay, well, why is Randa questioning this?" But there's a lot of communication, and that communication is what makes everything run a little bit better, run a little bit smoother. Um, Now we, of course, had our hiccups because we grew extremely fast in the last
Mhm.
7 years. We've gone
Mhm.
from 5 loan officers and me to 2,800 loan officers and over 300 support staff. So with that growth, we've had lots of growing pains. But I think the reason that we continue to work well and move forward is, one, we communicate with each other. Two, he's not afraid to tell me when I'm screwing up. I'm not afraid to tell him, hey, that sucks. So there's that give and take, of course, but then we are always looking for the next best thing. And we roll with, wow, I can't talk. We roll with the punches really well. Like, an issue comes up, okay, how do we address it? How do we fix it? We jump in, we figure it out. So it's a constant ebb and flow of ideas and, making things better.
Perfect. Sounds like you're the perfect yin to his yang, right?
We balance each other out well.
I love it. So one thing that you're in charge of here, as your background states, is you are the head of the Women of NEXA. And I'm going to look at my notes over here because there are some data I think everyone should know that in the country, women make up about 44% of loan originators. But if you look at the broker world specifically, which is the area we're in, about a third of them, 34%. However, you dig deeper, and according to Scotsman Guide, of the 44% women, that make up the entire originator base, in the top 10 for the country for last year, for 2023, no women made it on. Only one could be found in the top 20, and 18, so less than 20% of the top 100 were women last year, which 44%, less than 20% represented in top producers. That's not ideal. Contrast that to NEXA. If you look at the top 20 of last year, half of them, 10, were women, which is so far surpassing the national average. So one thing, at least me being here, and one thing that stands out to me that you are in charge of, and I also do think is very important, is that the women not only, of course, are welcome here. I mean, I don't think anyone's not going to welcome anybody to their company, especially if they want to make money. But women here, in the words of Jason DuPont, are sometimes bigger ballers than the men. And that could be shown that even though they represent less of a percentage, they're equal to men, if not surpassing them in some instances. So what is it like being a leader of such talented women? And, what are you guys doing? What are you doing specifically, or NEXA, that's allowing women in particular to succeed here?
I think we're giving women a space. And that's not always, so the mortgage industry is very man-driven, and it always has been. That shifted a lot in the last couple of years. It's not so man-driven. But with our Women of NEXA, the whole point behind opening or starting the group is I went to Mike and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. And he says, go for it. I'm all in, whatever you need, do it. And so we started, and I think just having the knowledge that they can go somewhere and talk to someone without having to worry about, oh, well, that's a dumb question, kind of a response, which happens a lot anyway. But knowing that they have a platform that they can jump in and say, hey, this is what's going on. And it's not just loan level stuff. It's family stuff. It's kids stuff. It's just marital things sometimes. They have a platform where they can log in and talk to one another and talk to other ladies who are going through the exact same challenges that they are, which is huge. You mentioned President's Club last year. We had 22, because we took our top 1%. We had 22 individuals who took to President's Club. Of those 22, 12 of them were women. And I think that far surpasses the industry average, because our ladies know that Mike has their back. I have their back. We're going to do whatever we can to make sure that they have what they need. And we do the same thing for the guys, but I don't think that that's as prominent in a lot of other broker industries. If you look at our management, more than half of our management is women. We have Taylor Bradley, who runs our compliance, licensing, and HR department. She's the head of that beast that is compliance, licensing, and HR. And she does a phenomenal job. And I think that what NEXA has done is we have allowed Mike's done, has allowed women like me, women like Taylor, who have no mortgage background, to come in, learn our systems, learn our departments and excel in those things, because I had no mortgage background whatsoever when I started doing data entry for Mike. So everything I know about mortgages, I've learned from Mike in the last 7.5 years. And it's a lot.
It is. Yeah. And man, I commend Taylor. When I have to look up one thing for licensing about one state, every time I ask her, and it's like, she already knows the answer. She's phenomenal.
She remembers it
Cool
all.
stuff. She really does. And like you said, she's not just good at her, she really is excellent at her job. And once again, speaks to you, speaks to Mike, speaks to NEXA, that just allows her to flourish here. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Before we wrap up, is there kind of anything you'd like to maybe share with the world, or even people out there that might be considering maybe a change in scenery to go somewhere that might fit them a little bit better?
I think that NEXA is a great place for a lot of reasons. And it's a great place for different people for a lot of different reasons, right? So the reason that I'm at NEXA is different than the reason that you're at NEXA. And the reason you're here is different than the reason that Jason DuPont or, Rob Cole or Derek McGowan or any of those people are here. They're here because NEXA is a great platform that allows them to run their business, one, compliantly, two, profitably, but in the manner that best suits them and their needs. So I think that's something that not everybody understands. They think that it's a cookie cutter, and that's not what NEXA does. We're not a cookie cutter subdivision with the houses one right after the other and everyone operates the same way. We are a platform for everyone to run and operate their business the best way that works for them, right? Which is why we don't require they use a certain CRM. As long as you're being compliant, that is our biggest goal, right? So as far as reasons to join NEXA, there's so many. Like, you have so many options on how you do things at NEXA, whereas in other places you don't. They have a system. It has to be this way. You have to do it that way, period. And at NEXA, that's not how we roll. And if I were to leave you with like a final thought, is take the opportunity, and I talked about this a little bit at NEXA Fest, is when the opportunity arises, take the opportunity. And NEXA is that opportunity. We have that platform for everyone. And if I hadn't taken the opportunity 7.5 years ago to go to work for Mike, which is basically what everyone's doing when they join NEXA, they're going to work for Mike. My life would be completely different. And I thank God every day that I made that choice and that I made that decision.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I don't want to take up too much more. It was great chatting. It was great hearing about the role that you kind of play here and everything you do for not only me, but everyone here at the company. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Asher. I appreciate it.